The shir today is Leila Nishmas, my mother's yotz. Today is my mother's yotzai, Rivka Bas Yitzchak Isaac. It's also Leila Nishmas, Oshish Melchaim and Ephraim Etziona, Yaakov HaKohen ben Gedalia Cohen, Avram Yosef ben Yaakov HaKohen, Pesha Bela Bas Isidor, Sidor ben Chaim Pesach, Yitzchak ben Sora, Devorah Bas Yitzchak, Chaim ben Fege, Yaakov ben Yitzchak, Mordechai Netzach ben Rivka, Rochel Bas Yosef, Eliezer ben Yaakov, Chaim ben Gedalia, Zalman Leib ben Moshe, Chaim Elio ben Yosef Moshe, Amichai ben Yaakov, Gedalia ben Tzvi Ruvain, Leila Nishmatam. Today is my mother's fourth yotzai, Rivka Bas Yitzchak Isaac. My mother's a Holocaust survivor, and also she was a heroine. We should never wanted to talk about it. And someone gave me this, the book just came out, it's called The Holocaust and Jewish Destiny. It's a new book. I didn't even know that the book exists. And they took my mother's story and they made a short synopsis of it. I don't know how they got a hold of it, but how she saved my two uncles from a certain death during the Holocaust. And I'll just read you a small paragraph. Not without my brothers. My uncle Yisachar Dov Shwor and his brother Abraham and his sister Rivka, my mother, escaped from Poland and made their way through Slovakia to Budapest in 1944. For a time they hid there successfully posing as Aryans until a Polish girl, oh, you can't say that today.
That's when you go to jail.
Oh, I want to go to jail. Nechama, I don't want to go to jail.
Say the truth.
Until a Polish girl discovered, don't tell the Prime Minister of Poland I don't want to go to jail. Until a Polish girl discovered they were Jews and reported them to the Gestapo. They were all arrested and taken to a jail, and the Jews were, going to be eliminated, waiting their turn to be executed. One day, an opposing Nazi officer appeared at the jail and asked for he wants a nice-looking Jewish girl. He needs a nice-looking Jewish girl. So they go into the jail there, and there are hundreds of prisoners there waiting their turn to be executed. So he looks around the room. You hear this? He looks around the room. If I get emotional, you'll excuse me. My mother was a very nice-looking girl, and he looks at her and he says, "You come with me. You come with me." So she thought that it's a fate worse than death, right? She was a very good-looking girl, and he told the officer in charge there that he wants a good-looking Jewish girl. So he looked all around, picked my mother out. "You come with me." So she thought death, a fate worse than death. They get outside. He says to her, "Amcha." Amcha, you hear this? I'm a Jew. Amcha, I'm your people. You hear this? This guy was an Aryan-looking Jew working for old Wallenberg, dressed in a Gestapo Nazi uniform, and he was sent into these jails to try to. If he asked for too many, it looked too suspicious. So he said he's looking for a girl here, for whatever. So he told her, "Listen, there's a car waiting. We have to run to the safe house before they catch you and me." Right? Before they catch you and me. So he took her outside, and then he says to her, "Listen, come, we have to go quick." Right? I'm a Jew. I'm working for Wallenberg, and we have to run to the safe house. He had safe houses throughout Budapest under Swedish protection. Okay? And he has his partner waiting in the car for him to drive him there. Right? To his astonishment, Rivka, my mother, refused to get into the car unless he agreed to save her two brothers as well, because she was there in the dungeon with her two brothers as well. So this so-called Nazi officer was really a Jew. He pleaded with my mother, change your mind, arguing that to go back into the prison now would involve a grave danger, not only to my mother's life, but also to his life as well. So we have to make a quick getaway before they catch you and me. But my mother, Rivka, stood her ground. "I'm not leaving without my brothers." He said, "Lady, are you off the wall? Every second, if we don't come to the safe house, we're all dead. You're going to make me go back in there and risk my life?" She said, "If you don't get my brothers, I'm going back in there." Now that wouldn't look too good for him if she goes back in there. What happened? At last, the other man, his partner, risked his life to enter the jail. Somehow he managed to get the two brothers out, and all three siblings were saved. Wow. So my mother saved my two uncles, and otherwise they would have been, because in the next half hour, everyone in that jail, Alfie, the next half hour, everyone in that jail was shot and the bodies thrown in the Danube River. So my mother saved my two uncles, and thanks to them, they had wonderful families and grandchildren, and every simcha of our family, my uncles would point to my mother and say, you know why we're here and you're here and your children are here? It's because of Tante Rivka, that she risked her life, wouldn't go without her brothers. And she made this rescuer risk his life again. Imagine this Jew who looked like a Nazi, blue eyes and blonde. There were dozens like him in Budapest, who Wallenberg had dressed up in Nazi uniforms. This guy Wallenberg saved 100,000 Jews. 100,000, one man, plus my mother. If it wasn't for this Wallenberg, I wouldn't be here. And he was Hashem's shliach.
Did she know who that guy was?
Yes, so they kept in touch with the family. His name was Marin. They kept in touch. The rescuer survived. His name was Marin. And my family kept in touch with his family in Brooklyn, and we attended each other's simcha. But this one person, he saved my mother and uncle and hundreds of other Jews that he would risk his life going in to the mouth of the lion, and he couldn't ask for too many because it looked too suspicious. He says he needs a Jewish girl here, a Jewish girl there. And this is how my mother survived, my uncle survived, and 100,000 other Jews because of this one person, Wallenberg, the Swedish diplomat who risked his life. And many times, if you read the story, many times Eichmann pulled the gun on him. He says, I know what you're doing. Now I'm going to shoot you. But he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to get into a diplomatic problem with Sweden, right? With the Swiss.
Who was guarding the prison?
It was the Arrowhead. It was the Hungarian Arrowhead, the fascists.
Okay, so was it?
So it was the Arrowhead fascists. When they saw a Nazi, they went, big respect, but the Nazi was their boss, right? Yes.
Wallenberg disappeared in the Soviet.
The Soviet, right, in the Gulag. But today,
fought for him.
no. So today's shir, Leid Nishmas, my dear mother Rivka Bas Yitzchak Isaac. The shir today I want to speak about is the Mishkan. Was it plan A or was it plan B? Or why should I care?
Both.
Or both. So was the Mishkan plan A or plan B? Yes.
Or both.
Yes. Plan A or plan B? Yes. And why does the Torah repeat the Mishkan account verbatim? Parshas Truma Tetzaveh, what we're reading now, the Torah has great detail about the Mishkan. Then you have Parshas Kisisa, and then after the Chet HaEgel, you have again the Vayakal Bikudei. It's very strange, Avram. The Torah is so economical when it comes to letters and words. Here the Torah, there's exactly 304,805 letters in a Torah scroll. If you don't believe me, you can count. The Torah doesn't spend an extra letter. Here, the Torah repeats verbatim the same account of the Mishkan. Truma Tetzaveh before the golden calf, then golden calf, and then again, Vayakla Pikudei after the golden calf. The Torah repeats the exact same account, Avram, word for word, all the details of the Mishkan. What can that mean? And why? Well, this is also, to answer this question, we're going to ask another, was the Mishkan plan A or was the Mishkan plan B? According to the Ramban, even though there would be no golden calf, there would still be a Mishkan. Because he says the Mishkan is a portable Har Sinai. Therefore, the end of Parshas Mishpatim ends, the Jews saw the glory of God as a devouring fire on the mountain Har Sinai. And the Parsha begins, make a Mishkan out of gold. What's the connection, says Ramban? What's the color of gold? Fire. So according to Ramban and others, that the Mishkan was plan A from the get-go. Even if there would never have been a golden calf, there would always be a Mishkan. A Mishkan is supposed to be the portable Har Sinai. Comes along Rashi and the Midrash And they say, no, the Mishkan is what? The Mishkan is plan B. That if there wouldn't be a Mishkan, there wouldn't be a golden calf, there would be no Mishkan. So we know when Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim chayim, is Rashi right that the Mishkan is plan A? Is the Ramban right that the Mishkan is what?
Plan B.
Plan B, right? Or are they both right?
Both right. Both right.
They're both right. And the same question we can ask with the Por Aduma. Rashi in the Por Aduma seems to contradict himself. Pashas Chukas, first Rashi says that the Por Aduma is a chok. We have absolutely no understanding of why God commanded the Por Aduma. And then later on, Rashi says, forget about it. The Por Aduma is a tikkun for the Chet Egel. So the same paradox. Rashi says in the beginning of Pashas Chukas, it's a chok. Makes absolutely no reason why God commanded the Por Aduma. He gave it to us already at Mara. At Mara, he gave it to us way before there was a golden calf. And then it's a chok. Chok means an absolute divine decree. And then Rashi says, wait a minute. He gives you a blow-by-blow detail that the Por Aduma is what? A tikkun for the Chet Egel. So we have the same paradox over here. So I'm going to show you how they both could be right. Okay? First of all, the Mishkan was plan A. The Shekhinah that revealed herself on Mount Sinai, God says, take me with you. So the Mishkan is supposed to be a portable Har Sinai. And more than that, if you look the account of the Mishkan, it parallels creation. The same words that the Torah uses by creation, the Torah uses by what? By the Mishkan. It says, Vatechel kol avodat HaMishkan. There was, all the work of the Mishkan was finished, and the same words that God uses in Genesis, thus the heavens and the earth were finished. And Moshe blessed them when they finished the Mishkan. Hashem blessed the seventh day. You know, the Mishkan was the first building campaign. Jews love building campaigns, right, Avram? The first building campaign, Gershom, right? It's in our DNA to have a building campaign. DNA, it's in our divine natural ability, right? So anyway, the Mishkan is a parallel and a model of the creation, and we'll see that. V'lachte b'drachav, just like God built the universe, God says, build me a mini-universe. And we'll see how the Mishkan is a model of the universe. Now, the Torah says, V'yikhu li truma, take for me an offering. What do you mean, take for me? V'yitnu li. The Torah said, give me an offering. You want? Give me a donation. How come God doesn't say, Avram v'yitnu li? He says, V'yikhu li, take for me. Give me a donation to build a Mishkan. What do you mean, take for me? Remember Jack Benny? I'm dating myself. Jack Benny said, if I can't take it with me, I'm not going. But he went anyway. But there is a way to take it with you. By giving tzedakah. That's what you take. V'yikhu li truma. When you give tzedakah, you're taking it with you. What can you take along? What you give charity to others. Because the stuff you have in the bank, that's not yours. After 120, right? The kids go to the lawyer's office and fight over it, right? But what you take with you is what you give for tzedakah. So therefore the Torah doesn't say the yitnu li truma, give tzedakah, it says take. Because when you give tzedakah, you're actually what? Taking for yourself. So on one level, the Mishkan is plan A. Now, even though there would not be a golden calf, there would still be a Mishkan. And therefore, the first account of the Mishkan is in Parshas Truma, way before the golden calf. Way before the golden calf. But then you have the golden calf, and then you have a repetition, Vayakal Pekudei, after the golden calf. Because after the golden calf, the Mishkan took on an additional meaning, and we'll explain that. So therefore, it seems to be redundant. It seems to be redundant, but it's not. Because in Parshas Truma, before the Chet Egel, that's plan A. Even though there would be no Egel, you'd still have a Mishkan. We'll see soon, it's a model of the universe. But then, after the Egel, the Torah had to repeat it. Even though it's word for word, Avram, but it's not word for word. Now, it takes on what? An additional meaning. And we explained that with the Paraduma as well. But first of all, with the plan A. With the plan A, how the Mishkan is a model of the universe. The Abarbanel goes through it. 10 times it says by the Mishkan V'asita. In Pashas Truma, before the Chet Egel, it says 10 times you shall make the Shulchan, make the menorah. There's a picture going around, Avram. You have that? The picture's going around, what it looked like. Shulchan, 10 times it says. Kawinky Dinky? How many sayings did God take to create the world? Asora Mamorot. So the Barbanel says that the 10 times you shall make in the Mishkan parallels what? The Asor Mamorah Shenivra Olam, that God created the universe with what? With 10 sayings. So therefore 10 times God tells Moses, make this, make this. The Mishkan had Eseh Yeriot. The Mishkan had 10 curtain covering, not 9 or 11. Why 10? Keneget Eseh Sfirot. How many Sfirot are there? How do you say Spheros in English?
Spheres.
Spheres. What does that mean? Channels. Windows that God connects to this world. So the Mishkan had to have 10 curtains, Keneget Eseh Sfirot. 10 times V'asita Keneget Asara Mamorot Shenivra Olam. The Mishkan is a model of the universe. V'halachta b'drachav. We have to walk in God's ways. The menorah represents what? Here comes the sun. The menorah represents the sun. The Mizbach Hazav, where they burned incense, perfume twice a day, represents what? The delicious flowers. The aroma of the flowers. The Mizbach Adama, the earthen altar, represents what? The earth. The Shulchan, as you see in the picture that's going around, the Shulchan represents, Alfie, the food supply. The coverings of the Mishkan represents the heavens. The poles of the Mishkan, not the Italians, the poles of the Mishkan represent those that carry the Torah. The ark represents the Torah. The poles that carry, they represent those who support the Torah. You can't have one without the other. The cheruvim, the figures on the Holy of Holies, the lovebirds represent what? The angels, that God created angels. That God created angels. So everything in the Mishkan, Alfie, is a model of the universe. Nothing to do with what? With the Egel. Therefore, Truma was written before the Chet Egel. So the cheruvim represent what? Angels, that God creates angels. But they also had the face of a boy and a girl. Why did it have the face of a boy and a girl?
Because some
Why?
the sources say that they would look like children.
But why?
Oh.
The question is why?
Innocence?
Good, but the Mishkan not only is a model of the universe, it's a model of the Jewish home. Please bear with me. In a Jewish home, you have a menorah, the Shabbos candelabra, right? In a Jewish home, you have a shulchan, right? You have a shulchan in a Jewish home. In a Jewish home, you have a mizbeach where the food is cooked, right? So that's the kitchen and the living room. But a Jewish home, you also have a bedroom. Where's the bedroom?
Behind the curtain.
Behind the curtain, the Holy of Holies. Isn't that incredible? That the Kodesh HaKadoshim, I hope you're sitting down for this. The the Holy of Holies represents the Jewish bedroom. Now, I hope you don't think I'm hallucinating. If you look in Malachim Bet, Perigud Aleph Avram, Malachim Bet, how do you say that in English? Kings 2, chapter 11, the Pasuk says clearly that the Kodesh HaKadoshim is Chadar HaMitot. Chadar HaMitot. Isn't that bizarre?
Who says this?
Kings 2, chapter 11.
Oh.
You could look it up.
Yes, Rashi.
Kings 2, chapter 11, Rashi explains that the Chadar HaMitot that Yirmiyahu is talking about there, he wrote the book of Kings, is referring to what? To the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Now, why in the world is the Kodesh, the Holy of Holies, called Chadar HaMitot? How do you say that in English?
The bedroom.
The bedrooms.
The bedroom. No, the room of the bed.
The room of the beds. Thank you, Chava. You're taking Ulpan. Chadar hamitot.
I haven't gone that far yet.
Oh, you haven't gone that far. Chadar hamitot. You can look at Kings 2:11. The Kodesh HaKadoshim is called the room of the beds. Isn't that bizarre? No, it's not bizarre.
No, because
It's not bizarre. Therefore, the Kruvim in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, you see the picture going around, had the face of what? Of children. The place where children are created is Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Jewish bedroom, where Jewish babies are conceived. That's Holy of Holies. That's Holy of Holies. That's behind the curtain. That's Tsanua. How do you say that in English?
modest.
So the Kodesh HaKadoshim, that's the Jewish bedroom, where husband and wife come together. The act is called Kiddushin. And Jewish babies are created. And that's the Holy of Holies. Now, the Kruvim in the Holy of Holies, right? But in Bereshis, Rashi calls the Kruvim Malache Chabalah. Alfie, I'm mixed up. Here the Kruvim are in the Holy of Holies, representing the highest class of angels. In Bereshis Aleph, when Adam and Chava get kicked out of Gan Eden, Rachmiel, and God places the same Kruvim there to guard the road to the Derech Eitz HaChaim, there Rashi calls them Malache Chabalah. How do you say that in English, Gershom? Malache Chabalah? Angels of terror.
Chabal.
Chabalah, Mechabel, come on.
Oh,
Malache Chabalah, angels of terror.
okay.
So, Evelyn, what are the angels? Holy of Holies? Or are they heavenly angels? Or are they hell's angels?
We make the call.
We make the call. You make the call. Yaakov had a dream on Mount Moriah. He saw Malach Elohim Olim, the Yordim Bo. Said the Baal Shem Tov, whether the Malachim are Kodesh HaKadoshim, or Chas v'Shol, whether the angels are heavenly angels, when they go up, or God forbid, hell's angels, when they go down, Bo. Beis Vav, depends on me. The awesome power of a Jew not to control just his own destiny, but even whether the Malachim go up or down, whether the Kruvim are heavenly angels or God forbid hell's angels, also depends on my behavior down here. This is the power that Hashem gave us to control not just our own destiny, but also the destiny of what? Of heaven. And therefore the Mishnah says, Da malamala mimcha. Chaim Volozhin says, Da malamala, comma. If you want to know what the angels are doing above, mimcha. What does mimcha mean? Moshe, mimcha. It's up to us.
Alecha.
Mimcha.
You say,
Right?
say Alecha too, it's up to you.
But the Mishnah says, Da malamala mimcha.
Right.
Right? And the Mishkan is made out of animal skin. Why is the Mishkan made out of animal skin? Says Lubavitcher Rebbe, when you look at the animal skin Mishkan, you're supposed to remember, I've got you under my skin. Where does God dwell? V'oseli migdash v'shechanti b'tocham. B'tocham. Not b'tocho. B'tocham. Right? So looking at the animal skin Mishkan, we remember that God dwells where? Underneath my skin. So we see that the Mishkan is what? Plan A. But it's also plan B. Once the Jews sinned with the Egel, God says, I'm giving the Mishkan another meaning. The Mishkan was always supposed to be a portable Har Sinai. The Mishkan was always supposed to be what? A model of the Jewish home. The Mishkan was always supposed to be a model of what? The universe. Plan A, Parshas Truma before the Egel. But Vayakel Bikude, it's repeated verbatim after the Egel. It's not redundant, because now the Mishkan takes on, Avraham, another meaning. Therefore, it's repeated again after the Chet Egel. Now the Mishkan also becomes a kapara and a tikkun for what? For the Egel. So it's plan A before the Egel, and it's also plan B, and therefore it's repeated verbatim twice, before and after. So Rashi and the Ramban really do not argue. Elu v'elu divrei Elohim chayim. Is the Mishkan plan A or both? or plan B? It's both. And the same thing that Yaakov Meir asked me, the Por Aduma. Rashi seems to contradict himself. First, Rashi says the Por Aduma was given at Marah, way before Matan Torah, way before there was a golden calf. And Rashi calls it a chok. We don't know why. And then Rashi says, oh gee whiz, he gives you a blow by blow that the Por Aduma is what? A tikkun for the Chet HaEgel. No stira, no contradiction. It started out plan A as a chok. But God loves us so much that after we sin, His own mitzvah takes on an additional meaning. Now the Por Aduma, besides being a chok, also now becomes what, Rabbeinish? A tikkun, a kapara for what? For the Chet HaEgel. You sinned with gold, you made a golden statue. Now take gold and do it my way. Da-da-da-da. So we see how much Hashem loves us. He has a plan A. But when we sin, then He adapts His Torah as a concession to us in order to what? To give us a tikkun kapara. The same thing with karbonot. The same thing with karbonot. Does God need sacrifices? Does God need sacrifices? So again, you have the Rambam. The Rambam says that it's a concession to human weakness. Instead of sacrificing to idols, God says, sacrifice to me. So the Ramban says, is that true? Adam, Noach, they didn't worship idols. Did Adam worship idols? Did Noach worship idols? Did Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov worship idols? And they brought what? Karbonot. So how could Maimonides say it's a concession to human weakness that instead of worshiping, burning animals to what? To Avodah Zarah, God says, bring your animals to me. That's Maimonides. But Ramban says, how could it be? Noach, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov never burned sacrifices to Avodah Zarah. So, same idea.
Even Hevel.
What? Hevel, Cain, Hevel, right? They were not idol worshippers. They were righteous. Hevel, that's right, brought karbonot. So again, it's the same idea. Karbonos were plan A. Noach, Cain, Hevel, they brought Avraham, Yaakov. But once the Jewish people began to what? Sacrifice to idols, now God says the Mishkan, the Karbonot, just like the Mishkan, takes on what? An additional meaning. What I'm trying to point out, Gershon, is when Rambam and Rashi and Ramban disagree, they really don't disagree. Elu v'elu divrei Elohim chayim. Remember the Baskol? Aaron, page 13. Bas Shammai said this, Bas Hillel said that. If you're warm, you can open a window maybe, or want to open a window if you're warm? It's cold, okay. So where was I? They're both correct. Different strokes for different folks. But isn't that amazing how Rashi and the Ramban can both be right? What the Mishkan is it plan A, is it plan B, is it a tikkun for the Chet HaEgel, or is it what? A model of the universe, or a model of Jewish home? What's the answer? Yes. Yes. That's the beauty of Judaism. Alfie, layer upon layer of meaning, the red cow, not the mad cow. First there was a chok, but after we sinned with the golden calf, so God says, let the red cow, which is the mother of the calf, come and clean up the doo-doo, the tikkun. When you sin with gold, and now you'll take gold and you'll clean up the, you'll clean up what? The mess. Yes?
Everything was leading up to this point.
What do you mean?
Change the world. That Hashem would come and live with us. That He would dwell with us. Everything, creation, everything was leading up to this.
Right.
To have a home here on earth.
V'osoli migdash v'shechanti b'tocham. Not in the building, but where? Inside of us. Inside of us. Now the Vilna Gaon points out, at the Shirat Hayam, the Jews already sang they're going to build a Mikdash. At the Shirat Hayam, way before the Chet HaEgel, Mikdash Hashem. So the Vilna Gaon says, yes, the Beis HaMikdash, the Mishkan, should have been built in Pisgat Zev. I mean in Jerusalem. But once the Jews sinned with the golden calf in the Midbar, God says, I can't wait.
Timing.
Timing is everything. I can't wait. The Mishkan originally should have been in Yerushalayim.
And should have waited for
Migdash Hashem, look at the Shira. Look at the Shira. We read it every day. Migdash Hashem kanyan yadecha. Oh, I'm glad I came today. It's so beautiful. Having the Vilna Gaon. You look at the Shira that you sing every day. In the Shira Tayam, way before the Golden Getchka, and way before. The Jewish people sing to Hashem at the, by the way, that's our national anthem, by the way. God, you will bring them and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance. What's the mountain of your inheritance? Mahar nachloscha. Harabayit. Migdash Hashem kanyan yadecha. So the Mishkan, the temple, should have been in Jerusalem. But once the Jews, Avram, sinned with the golden calf in the Mishkan, in the Midbar, so God says, I can't wait. Can't help I can't wait. You sinned in the Mishkan, in the Midbar with gold. Now you have to build me a golden Mishkan, not on Har HaBayis. But where? In the Midbar. Because you sinned with gold in the Midbar. So now God says, we can't wait to Jerusalem. It'll take you 40 years to get there, right? So now, you sin in the Midbar Sinai with gold. Now we have to build a golden Mishkan where? In the Midbar. Instead of where? In Yerushalayim. So you see how HaKadosh Baruch Hu accommodates us. That God plays ball with us. Incredible. Now, we spoke about the Holy of Holies in the Jewish home. That's the Jewish bedroom. Tractate Yuma, page 54, says something incredible. When the Babylonians came into the Migdash to destroy the temple, they saw the Kruvim in a love-making position. They saw the Kruvim in a love-making position, and they said, the Jewish people, what are they doing with erotic figures in the Holy of Holies? So they mocked us. They mocked us. They took out the Kruvim, and the Kruvim were in a lovey-dovey position, and they said, the Jewish people that are so holy, Yisrael halalu, shebachosam bracha, yaska badvarim halalu. And they began to mock us. If you look in Lamentations 1, kiro ervata. What does kiro ervata? What does erva mean in Hebrew? Naked. The nakedness. The Kruvim were engaged in a love-making position. It's mind-boggling that they mocked us. So what is erotic figures doing in the Holy of Holies? Yaakov, you don't find this bizarre? Erotic figures in the Holy of Holies, no less? But we talked about that. That the sex act, why is it called Kiddushin? Because can there be a greater holy act than creating a person? Can there be a greater holy act than that? The first mitzvah in the Torah, Pruvu. Where the Gemara in Nida tells us that every human being has three parents. We're in Nida, Gemara Kiddushin, that every human being has three parents. God, Father, and Mother. God supplies what? The soul. And the parents supply what? The body. You can't have one without the other. Right?
Right.
So every human being has three parents. I'm glad you said that. Three parents. So therefore, the marital act is a holy act. Where else can you be God's partner to create what? A baby, a human being, the godly soul. God says, I can't do without you. I can only send the soul down. But a disembodied soul, Yehuda, is not human. Right?
Night of the living dead.
Right? Night of the living dead. God says, I need your help. And we know, Chava, where there's potential for great Kiddusha, there's also potential for great Tumah. How come there's so many churches in Har Zion? You ever wonder? We're surrounded with churches. Why? Because there's such a holy place, Har Zion. So the Koichas HaTumah, they circle around there. Where there's great Kiddusha, Alfie, the forces of Tumah, they draw like to a magnet. So therefore, since the sex act, if it's done properly, is a holy act, where you create a human being with God, therefore, if it's not done under the right conditions, it becomes a terrible sin. great Kedusha, there's potential for great Tumah. There's this constant, how do you say in English? Tension, thank you. There's this constant tension between the forces of Kedusha and the forces of Tumah. So erotic figures in the Holy of Holies, which is pretty incredible, Gemara Yuma 54, that that's what the Babylonians saw. And therefore the Kodesh HaKadoshim in Kings 2, chapter 11, is called Chadar HaMitot. Chadar HaMitot, which means the room of the rooms of the beds, or the bedrooms, right? Incredible. So that's the Gemara in Yuma. So the Rashba asked the question. The Gemara in Bava Basra says when the Jewish people were doing the will of Hashem, then the Kruvim were what? Hugging each other, right? And when the Jews were not doing the will of Hashem, then even though I had no batteries in there, the golden statues, no batteries, they what? They turned away from each other. Bava Basra, page 99. So the Rashba asks you, there's a contradiction. Here in Yuma 54 says, Babylonians entered the temple. How could they enter the temple? Are we doing the will of Hashem? No. Obviously not. So the Kruvim, David, should have been what? Separated. Why are you doing a lovey-dovey position?
Because that was after Hashem's anger.
But why? We're not doing the will of Hashem. Otherwise, how could the Babylonians enter the temple? Obviously, we're not doing the will of Hashem. Otherwise, they couldn't enter the temple to destroy it. So they should have seen the Kruvim, what? Uriel, separated. And yet, Gemara in Yuma 54 says they saw them in a lovey-dovey, love-making position. Seems to contradict the Gemara of Bava Basra at 99 that they should have been turned away from each other. So what's the answer?
I hope it's good.
The relationship between God and the Jewish people are like a husband and wife, right? God says,
can't get divorced.
God says we're going to go on a long separation now, right? A couple of thousand years, where God is like exiling the wife out of the home, right? And they're going into exile. The halacha is before a husband goes on a long trip from his wife, he has to be with his wife. You hear this? That's the halacha. If the wife and the husband are going to separate, they're going on separate vacations, there's a halacha that they have to be intimate before they separate. So God follows his own Torah. Are you sitting down for this? So therefore God said we have to separate. You guys are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. We're having a lover's quarrel, a lover's spat. Right? We're separating. So Kaviyachol, before we separate, there's halacha that husband and wife Kaviyachol have to be together. So dafke when God is what? Exiling us, then he gives us one last hug. One last hug. I still love you. I can't stop loving you. A hug for good luck. That's just incredible. This idea goes so far that before you punish a child, you give him a kiss. Who said that? That's right. Rav Palms, that's what my Rebbe said. You learn from this Gemara. God's about to punish us. He's about to punish us, right? But he gives us one last loving embrace to prove that the punishment is what? Tough love. Tough love. It's not punishment for punishment's sake. It's punishment for tough love. So before you argue or you want to punish, Alfie, you hug the child or you hug the wife. Before you want to have a lover's spat or a lover's quarrel, what do? Hug and kiss first. Hug and kiss first. Isn't that incredible? And then, and this idea goes so far. In Parshas Hanan, Moshe Rabbeinu comes down with the tablets, and he throws them down. He says, he's carrying the tablets. He says, and I embraced the tablets, and then I threw them down. Seems to be redundant because obviously if he's coming down the mountain with the tablets, obviously he's what? He's embracing them. So what does he have to say? First, I embraced the tablets, and then I threw them down. So my Rebbe Rapam tells us the same idea. Before you have to punish a child, right, and you want to push him away, make sure you give him what? A hug and an embrace. And this is why the Kruvim, Dafkin, when the temple's being destroyed, they were engaged in what? In a lovey-dovey position. That God loves us despite. Sometimes he has to punish us, but that is what? For our own good. In English they call it what? Tough love. So you have the three main, if the picture's going around, do you have a picture here? Where's the picture there? I'm going to show you the picture. You have, you see a crown there, Chanoch? Chanoch, there's a crown on the ark, right? The ark has a crown.
Yes.
The shulchan has a crown. And the golden altar has a crown. But the menorah doesn't have a crown. What am I, chopped liver? Huh? Look, that's why a picture's worth 1,000 words. Who said that? Confucius, right? Picture's worth 1,000 words. Why is there no crown on the menorah? What am I, chopped liver? Why is there no crown on the menorah? Why not? Well, let's think. The menorah is the only vessel that was solid gold. You know, the ark was wood overlaid with gold. The shulchan was wood overlaid with gold. The Mizbach Hazav was what? Wood overlaid with gold. So there you need a crown. Because the base is what? Wood. But the menorah is solid gold. The menorah is solid gold. If it's solid gold, it doesn't need a crown.
Or maybe it is a crown?
Oh. So what's the symbolism? We don't have a menorah today. We ain't got a shulchan today. Why are we still studying this, Gershom? Why? The Torah is GPS, God's personal system, says the Moralmi Prague. The Mishnah in Ovos says there are three crowns. There's Keter Torah, the crown of the Torah. That's the ark, where they kept the Torah, right? That's a crown there. That's why I made the picture. There's Keter Kuhuna, the crown of priesthood. What's that? The golden altar. Only a priest can approach the golden altar, right?
Oh,
Right? And Keter Malchus, what's that? The Shulchan Malachim, the king's table. So the Mishnah says there are three crowns.
What happened to Keter Torah?
Keter Torah, that's the ark. The golden crown on the ark, that's the Keter Torah. The Keter Kuhuna is the Mizbach Hazav. You see the picture, Yaakov? He has the picture there. The Mizbach Hazav. That has a golden crown because only a Kohen could approach the golden altar, right? And the Keter Malchut is a Shulchan. The table of kings, right? But at the showbread. So the Mishnah says there are three crowns. And then the Mishnah says, wait a minute. The Keter Shem Tov Ol Al Gabeyen. The crown of a good name, more than all. You're contradicting yourself. First the Mishnah said there are only three crowns. And then the Mishnah says, oh, wait a minute, I forgot. Rachmiel, you asked me the question. The Keter Shem Tov Ol Al Gabeyen. So what do you say there are three crowns? There are actually four. What do you say there are three? So Moralmi Prague explains that the Keter Shem Tov, that's the menorah. That's solid gold. The Keter Torah, the ark, has a wood base. The person acquires Torah knowledge. So that's the person, and he acquires Torah knowledge. So that's his crown. The Keter Kuhuna, he's a Kohen, and he does the Avodah. That's the crown of what? Of the Mizbeach. Keter Malchut, he's a person, he acquires kingship, and that's represented by the table. But the Keter Shem Tov, that's the menorah. That's solid gold. A person and his good name is not like he acquires a good name. He acquires Torah. He acquires Kunah. But a person and his good name are what? One and the same. The Keter Shem Tov Olagab, that can't be a normal crown. Because a person's good name, a person's good reputation is more important than anything. If a person doesn't have derech eretz, Kodma LaTorah, what good is his priesthood? What good is his Torah scholarship? What good is his what? Kingship if he's not a mensch? Says the morale, if he doesn't have the Ket Shem Tov, that can't be part of the 3. That's way above the 3. Because the 3 don't mean anything without the Ket Shem Tov. It can't be one of the 3 or the 4. If a Torah scholar has no Shem Tov, then it's a Chil Hashem. His Torah becomes a Chil Hashem. Desecrating God's name. So the menorah doesn't need a crown, because the whole menorah itself is what? Solid gold. That's a person's good name. That's a person's good name. It's just amazing getting back to the Mishkan. The Mishkan, such great detail, it's a model of the universe. When it comes to the universe, in Bereshis Aleph, the Torah makes short shrift. Chick-chack. But when it comes to the model of the universe, there the Torah what? Goes on and on. Why is that? Why does the Torah spend so many more psukim on the model of the universe than the universe itself?
5.
Why is that?
5 parshas.
5 parshas with the Mishkan. Again, before the Egel, plan A, then again repeated after the Egel, plan B. But so many details. Hashem's creation, very few details.
He made it.
But so many details. Truma, Tetzave, Vayakel, Pekude. Why, when it comes to God's creation, Yosef, how do you say, chick-chack? Short shrift. When it comes to our creation of the Mishkan, there's so many details. Because the Torah is mainly concerned with our tafkid, our mission, rather than with God's action. Yeah. Hashem creates order in the natural world. Our mission is to create order, what? In the physical world. God says, get busy.
Yeah.
I created order in the natural world. We have to create order, what? In the physical human world. Which is more difficult?
Our job.
I think our job is more difficult than God's job. So therefore God's job is chick-chack, Bereshis. How many verses, Yehuda? Right? But the Torah is concerned mainly with our tafkid and mission rather than with God's action. Purim is coming up. Right?
Question.
Yes?
I know that, I know what I'm giving tzedakah.
Right.
How many,
Remember, you're not giving, you're taking. Don't say you're giving, Mickey. You're taking.
taking it.
You're not giving, you're taking.
how many food packages do you have to give?
Ish l'reyehu, Gershom. What's the minimum? Ish l'reyehu. No, ish l'reyehu. Matonas levyonim.
That's right.
So you have to give at least to 2 poor people.
That's right.
2 poor people, minimum.
Yeah, okay.
Meshloach manos is enough what? Ish l'reyehu. Right. Of course, the more the merrier. But the minimum is what? 2 gifts to 2 poor people. And Meshloach manos is enough 1.
And
Ish l'reyehu. Matanas levyonim is the plural. What's the minimum plural?
2.
And ish l'reyehu?
1.
1.
and what?
But the more the merrier.
How many things do you have to put? Food things you have to put.
2 different types of foods.
2 different kinds
Right.
of foods.
But of all the mitzvahs of Purim, what's the most important?
The food.
Gifts to the poor. Gifts to the poor is more important than all. There are 6 mitzvahs on Purim. You know that?
Does it have to be cooked food, like canned, or can it
Has to be food ready to eat.
ready to eat?
Ready
It
to
could be
eat, right?
fruit. It could be fruit.
Right, ready to eat. There are 6 mitzvahs on Purim, Gershon. You know what the 6 are? Read the Megillah. Vayovay Amalek. You have to read Vayovay Amalek. Parshas B'Shalach. Right, in the Chumash. Vayovay Amalek, right? And then you have to read the Megillah. Right? It's 3. You have to say Ala Nisim. Ala Nisim ve'ala Purkan. And then you have to do what? Which one? Suda. Suda. And then what? Matanas Lavyonim. So 6, right? Suda with wine. Right? But what's the most important? Matanas Lavyonim. Matanas Lavyonim. Right?
Make sure they can enjoy with us.
What?
Make sure they can enjoy with us.
So why do you leave the Suda for last? Achron chaviv, right? Saving the best for last, right? Because if you have the Suda too early, you'll be too drunk to do the other mitzvahs, right? Is that why? What? Why do you have the Suda last?
Pick up the mitzvahs first.
Oh. Beautiful. Bainish and Chav are on the same page. The human being is made up of the body and the soul, right? So you read the Megillah, and you read Vayovay Amalek in the Chumash, right? And you in the Megillah, and you say Alanisim, right? So those are mitzvahs that the soul is absorbing.
Right. Souls.
And Metonas Lavyonim, those are the mitzvahs, the soul is absorbing all that Kiddush and the mitzvah. But the body says, what am I, chopped liver? I also want to participate in the Kedusha of the Megillah, of the Alanissim, of reading Vayovay Amalek, of Matanas Lavyonim. How does the body get to participate? Manja. So therefore, first you do all the other mitzvot. Now the soul is fully satiated with mitzvot. How does the body get to participate?
It gets to eat.
Now, manja. Now I'm ready to make the spiritual osmosis. So that Kedusha from the Megillah, and the reading the Torah of Vayovay Amalek, and the Kedusha of the Alanissim, and the Kedusha of Matanas Lavyonim, now, and the Kedusha of Shloach Manot. Now I'm ready to make the transfer from the neshama to the guf.
Right.
So therefore, first you have to have the mitzvahs for the neshama, as you guys said. Now, at the end of the day, you're ready to make the transfer. Now the guf can participate by eating the chopped liver and drinking the wine. The guf gets to what? Participate in the kedusha. I think it's called spiritual osmosis. And therefore, the Suda is left for what? Last. Achron chaviv. Saving the best for last. This Thursday we have a special shiur, current events in Megillat Esther. Thursday at 2:30, a special shiur, current events in Megillat Esther.
Part 2.
Part 2. We have a minyan say Kaddish Rabbanan.